Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Mike, Narco Cop MMA. This is Dana White's Contender Series, Week 7. I'm going to bring in two special guests with me. It's MMA Fox, John, and then I'll also bring in Z from ZeesMMA, the guy that was retired for just, a couple of minutes. But he'll be back and full force here. Real quick, I'm going to go over last week's plays, just a little recap. Last week, first fight, it was Genaro Valdez against Patrick White. I had the actual under on this fight, under 1.5. I had it actually parlayed at minus 140, parlayed with the Perez Hernandez goes to decision. It was a plus 175 ticket. I played it for 1 unit. So plus 175 on that. That Genaro Valdez, Patrick White was an absolute insane fight. I was sweating my ass off to get this under because neither one of these guys wanted to go out, but eventually Valdez finished him off. So that was a nice ticket there. The second fight was Joseph Holmes against Shante Barnes. I had a small poke on Holmes by TKO at plus 650. That didn't come through. It didn't even look close, to be honest. So that was not a good bet. The third fight of the night was Fernie Garcia against Joshua Weems. I had Garcia by TKO, which was an amazing bet, actually, at plus 700. I took it for half a unit. I won 3.5 there. I also had a small poke on Garcia in round 3 at plus 1,600. That didn't work out. I just thought Garcia was just a way better fighter here. And I know with his record with not many KOs, if any, but when you go back and watch his tape, the dude throws a lot of power. He has power. I've seen Weems hurt against way lesser opposition. So that's why I thought that plus 700 was a great bet. And yeah, it came through. Moving on to the next one, Carlos Hernandez against Daniel Barres. I stayed away from a side on this fight because I thought it was going to be a close fight. It turned out to be very close. Yeah, the only thing I had was that parlay that the fight goes to decision. It did go to decision, which was great. And last but not least, I had Mike Malott against Shimon Smatrisky. I just thought, Malott was a way levels above this dude. This guy didn't look good on tape. It showed, I guess, whether you call it a meme moment or not, but he looked horrible defending that choke. At minus 160, I went 3.2 units to win 2 for an overall of plus 8.3 units. It was a great week. Looking to hammer some more here this week. I'm going to go over the chat real quick. Mushroom, Narco, Z, and John, great trio of cappers. We're in the banger of a show. Smash the like button and subscribe. Thank you very much, Mushroom. Before I move on to the guys, let me bring in these gentlemen one by one here. First, I'm going to bring in the man, the myth, the legend, ZeesMMA. He's not retired anymore, guys. Here he is in person. What's up, Z?
Yeah, not retired, back at it. What else am I going to do with my life, Narco?
I love it. I love it. Next up, it's none other than John from MMA Fox, the host of the Club and Sub podcast, boys.
What's going on, boys? It's good to see you guys tonight.
What's up? What's up? What's up, John? How are you?
Not too bad. Yeah, I like this card.
Yeah, this card is not bad. Daz, watching from the couch, pen in hand. Let's go. Good luck, everyone, tomorrow. Yes, sir. Tim, what's up, Tim? Let's go, baby. Hannah, I was waiting for this video. Okay, well, this video is coming. These two guys right here, you better have that pen handy because they got a lot of information for you guys. What's up, MA? Triple J, the man. What's up? Ryan, what's up, bro? What's up? And Tim again. Thank you. Awesomeness. Yes, yes. All right. Without further ado, let's chug along here, break this card down. We'll start out with fight number 1, Catherine Pepraki versus Maria Silva. I will hand it off to Z.
Sure. Pretty simple. I think Silva is much better striker. Got in at a bit of an earlier line thanks to Narco. Definitely pointing me in that direction, and I do agree. Like, Catherine is pretty stiff on the feet, a little bit slow. I am a little bit worried she's going to be kind of a hard-nosed fighter, drag Silva into deep waters. But generally, I see what you're seeing, buddy. Silva, much better striker, much more fluid. I got in at minus 185, not for a huge bet, but a small shot. And I just thought she should be more around minus 233. So I think the line now is getting a little bit crazy. Don't know if I would recommend laying the crazy chalk, but yeah, I think she should be a sizable favorite here. And so I got in, I think like $80 at minus 185. Nothing crazy.
Awesome. All right, we'll move it to my man, the underdog whisperer. What do you got for us, John?
Well, you know I'm not betting on a minus 300 female. That is so. But with this fight, it's interesting, right? Because like I can't like dispute like who the better striker is here. Like I think that's fairly clear from the tape that Maria Silva is that. But in terms of the fight itself, it kind of feels like, you know, kind of a classic Contenders feel with a very, very wide range of outcomes here. Because, like, you know, on the Paprocki side, like, I feel pretty confident in saying that unless Silva guesses, she's going to win the stand-up very, very cleanly and potentially even finish her. And I guess where my questions are is, number one, I mean, Silva really hasn't fought like anybody at all regionally. And so she's never really had to dig deep. Whereas, like, you look at Paprocki and, you know, Tiani Valley is nothing special, but she's better than anybody Silva's fought. And, you know, she fought Emily Ducote for about 15 minutes, who probably is going to be in the UFC in due time. And, you know, Paprocki, you know, she's not good. She's a bad striker, but she's going to come forward. She's going to look to grapple and look to grind. And I guess that's kind of, you know, the big question for me, because we really haven't seen anybody really try to proactively grapple with Silva. And so we don't really know what her takedown defense is like. And if she ends up on the mat, we don't really know what that is like either. You know, maybe she's great there and can get up and it's fine. Maybe she just gets stuck on her back and is awful. Maybe she plays guard, right? So it's like I capped Silva at about 60% here just because I do think she does more good MMA things than Catherine Paprocki does. But what I do think is just like with all the question marks, it's hard to place a big vote of confidence on her. And I know Paprocki is going to test the one area where there are question marks. So I haven't made a bet yet, but like, and like, I'm not like thrilled about like potentially making a bet on her, to be honest, but like we're approaching, I'm seeing plus 240, plus 250 in spots right now. So I'm pretty strongly thinking about taking a poke at the dog here.
Yeah, it's plus 255 on Bet Online currently. So it's widening. I could start off here and say that I taped this fight very heavily. I'm invested in this fight, so I needed to tape it heavily. But on the Paprocki side, I know she fights out of DCO MMA and Fitness. I think she's the owner actually of that gym. I think it's her husband or boyfriend or somebody. Yeah. But they own the gym together. She's a pressure fighter. She's very aggressive. She likes the tie clinch. I see that a lot in her fights. She has decent kicks. You know, all these things she has are good. She has really good cardio. I'll give her that. I guess she also has like Muay Thai and boxing experience, but she has some pro fights in both. So she is, you know, she has some of those fights. But man, she gets hit way damn too often. Yeah. And the other thing is with her, you know, I wouldn't say she's fought any great level of fighters either. And going back to her last fight against the actual, can't remember her name. Let me pull her up. But
the great Tiana Valley.
Valley, yeah. I mean, she got hit so fucking much in that fight. I know Valley is a good striker. But here, you know, going on the Silva side, you know, the girl trains out in Dragon Combat in Brazil. This girl, you know, let me tell you, man, her kicks are really nice. She's a really aggressive striker, a lot of power in her hands. She's a two-time Sanda world champion. She's a Muay Thai champion. You know, this girl has all the accolades of kickboxing and Muay Thai, and you know, and then you go look at her BJJ. Yeah, you know, she doesn't have any accolades, but you look at her Instagram, and this girl competes in BJJ pretty often. She's won local tournaments, you know, whatever it may be. Maybe she's not fighting, you know, or grappling the best girls, but it's still in Brazil. And we know Brazilian jiu-jitsu is, you know, that's what they practice over there. And she's winning tournaments there. You could see her, you know, she's actually looks good on the ground. Like watching her, she knows what she's doing in these grappling contests. I know MMA is different. I know when you get punched in your face is a little different. But man, like the levels of striking difference here is a world apart for me. And the way that Paprocki gets hit, man, I really think, you know, she's going to take her out of there. I think she's going to stop her. I have 4.5 units on her at minus 155. I have a lot of CLV right now. I mean, it's minus 310 in spots. But, you know, I really like her, man. Her striking, I do have worries. I'm not going to say I don't have any worries because cardio is a question mark for me. She's been out for 2 years. She hasn't fought in 2 years. Yes, she's grappled. She's fought a lot of, you know, Muay Thai fights, blah, blah, blah. But as far as MMA is concerned, she hasn't fought for 2 years. So, you know, another thing that John mentioned is the low level of competition. Yes, it's been low level. I agree. But man, her striking is slow, clean. It's so crisp. It's a lot of power. So, you know, I have that. And I also have a tad of the under 2.5 at plus 145. Guys got anything else to add?
You can't buy anything with that CLC, that closing line curse. I suggest you hedge the fuck out of that one, buddy.
CLV, yeah.
Yeah. It's so true.
No, I was just going to say, it's just when you were talking about, you're like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, it's from Brazil. It was gave me flashbacks to Mike Goldberg.
Well, you know? what I'm trying to say, obviously, is that, you know, we know that the mecca of is there, right? You know, these girls she's grappling with are probably decent. You know, I don't know. Obviously, I have no knowledge of who they are, but she's winning tournaments there locally. I mean, you can't be horrible to be winning tournaments.
Yeah, I actually think the under is a great look. I think that's a good call. I mean, because if you kind of think about what the dynamic of the fight is, if it's playing out in Silva's favor, it's going to be her punching Paprocki in the face a lot of times in this fight. And, you know, conversely, if Paprocki's going to win the fight, it probably means she's getting dominant positions on top. And she's got pretty good ground and pounding, pretty good jiu-jitsu on top. So, I mean, there's going to be opportunities for the fight to finish. Obviously, it's WMMA, so you always want to be careful. But, like, it's high variance, very low level WMMA, right? So,
yeah, I mean, it is. Mushroom, I like Silva inside this, and she seems good. Wherever the fight ends up, I will take the 34th ranked fighter from Brazil over the ranked fighter from Colorado. Yeah, those rankings, honestly, I don't know. I don't mean much. Minus 300s. Now I got in at 155. Let's go. He's got the CLC too, has he? Dalton, what's up, Dalton? What's up? Criminal that Emily Ducati is not in the UFC. Yeah, I mean, I like her. I like her striking. She looked good in that fight. Anaconda, what's up, bro? We got 4 units on Silva at minus 200. People hammered that line, though, and now there's no value in her. Everybody's hammering Silva, it seems like. Oh, boy. Units on Silva at minus 170. KO or points? I think she knocks her out. That's just my opinion, especially if this stays standing. But let's move on. Enough of that fight. Fight number 2, Chris Duncan going up against Slava Borishev. We'll move it to you, John. What do you got on this?
Yeah, I like Slava here. I played him about plus 140 on BetMGM this morning, and I don't know. It's a weird fight because like I get Duncan 7-0, but like I don't really know what he is. Like he's fought pretty low level competition, and you look at, you know, I guess some people I've seen people say he looks good on the feet, but to me, it's like it's very basic striking. It's very wooden and kind of, I wouldn't say awkward, but you know, he gets like everybody he's fought, like no one is really ever firing back against him. And in terms of the grappling, like, yeah, I mean, he's probably the better grappler, to be honest. But, you know, that requires him getting him down and being able to hold him down. Like, I wouldn't say Duncan's a high-level grappler, at least not from what I've seen. And on the other side, you have Borshev, who I think he's going to have a big speed advantage. I do think he throws in combination a bit better than Duncan does, to be honest. And, you know, in terms of, you know, the grappling, look, I know he got held down by, like, Kenley St. Louis, but, you know, he got hurt in that fight. And, you know, Will Starks was actually – you know, a college wrestler, and he struggled to get him down pretty bad. Like, I think Borshev's hips are pretty good. He does a pretty good job of working underhooks and whizzers in the clinch. I'm not like, it's not like a huge play for me. I wouldn't say I'm like super passionate about it, but I do think, you know, just kind of, you know, the extensive experience in kickboxing Borshev has, and plus he just seems to be a bit more comfortable at range. I just kind of favor him moderately in the striking, and I just think he has the tools to kind of shut down the grappling. So, like, I have Borshev as a slight favorite, and so I took the stab at him here.
Nice. To be honest, I pretty much agree with almost everything. Duncan, he trains out of some Evo gym back in his hometown. His opposition is not really good. Who he's fought. Also defensively, like right. He lacks a lot of. He gets hit way too often. In that fight against his 2 fights ago, I believe, he got hit way fucking too much against that guy Piskoritz. He was getting hit a lot in that fight. The one thing I will say is he looks like he has good power, like heavy hands. He throws decent body kicks when you watch some of his tape. But the dude, like, to be worried about his grappling, he just looks like to me like he's primarily just likes to strike. He likes to come forward. He eats punches so he can land his punches. That's what it seems like to me on tape. He's like a zombie coming forward, hit me so I can connect with one of mine. But the one thing is, it seems like he has good cardio. He keeps up that pace. He's constantly coming forward. But again, like I said, the guy gets hit a lot on the feet. And now you're fighting a guy in Borashev who's a K1 world champion. The dude is the lead striking coach at Team Alpha Male. So this guy knows how to strike. You could watch his tape. He's a really good striker. I think he's the much better striker here. I don't even think it's close on the feet. The only thing with Duncan is he pressures, and it seems like he has good durability. Again, we don't know that for sure because of the level of opposition, but it seems like he has good durability. The other thing with Slava is the fact that his chin to me is a bit of a question mark, and that's what kind of scares me here. With Duncan moving forward, and if he's able to eat those shots from Borashev and consistently come forward and pressure and try to land his shots, that's where I have a question mark, and I'm scared to pull the trigger on Borashev because I think Borashev's chin is suspect. I've seen him hurt in a couple of fights. In his last 2 fights, especially in that St. Louis fight, he was hurt really bad. And one thing with Borashev is, though, he's got really nasty kicks. I mean, his kicks are really hard. They're nasty. But what I did look at here, instead of going and picking a side, is the fact that I think one way or another, one of these guys is going to get finished. So I went with the under 2.5 at plus money. I don't think that's a bad bet at all at plus money. You're getting a guy in Borashev, in the 2 fights that went to decision, it was against guys that were complete grapplers, right? Zabian, that's all he did is try to grapple, kill minutes. And the same thing with the aforementioned, who was it that he fought that grappled him like crazy? Will Starks. Yeah. So in both those fights, that's what those guys did. They grappled, heavy grappling. A lot of minutes went towards grappling. So I think this fight's going to be different. I think this fight's going to be standing, and one of these guys is going to get put out. And that's why I like the plus 105. What do you have, Z?
I'm with John over there. You got a better line, though. And actually, I just checked. Like, he was actually plus 185 end of last week. That seems like really wide. Yeah. Because I'm with John. Like, I just favor him slightly. I think he should be more like a minus 150 just based on his high-level skill set being the striking. And from what I've seen, when guys do want to grapple him, he does a good job getting up. Doesn't do a great job stopping the takedown, but he's always fighting, and he's, he knows what he's doing at least to get up. So, yeah, I don't really think Chris Duncan, just being a big, strong guy, warrants being favored over the guy with much better striking acumen and technique and everything. And it's good shit. He's setting stuff up multiple steps ahead. Striking mechanics are great. Shot selection is great. He just checks every box, and it's like advanced shit. He's not going for basic progression. Like he's sneaky. He's very, very good. So, yeah, give me that guy as a dog. I'll take that. But I did get the worst of the line because I only have plus 107. So even now it's better. So, yeah, I think it's a good bet. Anything could happen. He could get knocked out. He could get taken down. But you're giving me the much better striker as a dog versus someone. And it's not like Chris Duncan is great. I think part of this line might be from the fight that was scheduled before, where people were hyped up to bet him in that matchup, and now that's trickled over to here. I don't know, maybe. But he's a guy who's never been the distance as a professional, so you can say his cardio is good from what we've seen, but at the end of the day, he's never gone 15. So, yeah, give me Slava to light his ass up.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, I think you nailed it with the people were hyped up to bet him before, and that's where the line is. Because it's like I'm looking at it, it's just like he's never even really faced anybody to fire shots back at him, and now he's fighting a guy who's going to throw kicks at him, who's going to work the body. It's just, I mean, Slava was a K1 champion at 21. The guy is operating on a completely different plane.
Yeah, he's not super old either. He's still under 30.
29, yeah.
No.
And at a good gym now. This guy's at a random gym in Scotland where he's the only pro fighter.
I completely agree with you guys. Like the striking is levels above. I think if this fight, like, you know, if
let me ask you this, Narco, if I can cut in real quick, is like, because you're concerned with the chin, but if there wasn't a chin concern, what would you rate this fight, even with like the grappling being a somewhat of a question mark?
I would probably rate him at like 150, 160-ish. I still think Duncan hits very hard, man.
Yeah,
I really believe. And when he throws those combos, you can see when he touches people, they're getting hurt in most of the tape that I watched.
Yeah, but you know, like Duncan, I agree, but I feel like a lot of it, you know, he's throwing everything into it and it's somewhat predictable. Like you take a guy like St. Louis who hurt Borshev, like St. Louis isn't a great fighter, but he's very athletic and very explosive. You know, it's just he's the kind of guy who can catch you if you're not ready for it in a fight that he was otherwise cruising. I don't think Duncan is super fast, to be honest with you. I think there's going to be a very noticeable speed difference here.
Definitely agree with you, but you know, you're right about the last fight with St. Louis, but how about the fight with Corey Delaney? Why would Corey Delaney rock you? I mean, the guy is horrible, and he hit him with an overhand and rocked him. So I honestly have concerns about his chin. You could see it on tape. It might be a fluke that he's just getting hit with something that he's not seeing or whatever. But you know, I just chose to take the under because I think that's the safer route in this fight. That's what I believe.
Fair play.
Yep.
Anna, I already parlayed Silva. I've got Duncan, Hadley, and Boudet. Okay. All right. You got all chalk. I couldn't find a lot of tape on Duncan's offensive grappling. If Borshev can keep it standing, he is super live, but that's the question mark. Yeah, I mean, striking, we all can say he's the better striker by far. I like the violence play at plus money. Slava training at Alpha Male 2. Hope they get him ready to stop takedowns. Yeah, I mean, he's a coach over there. So 23 people in here. Thank you very much to all. We will move on from this fight unless you guys have something else to add. Oh, one thing I can add is whether this is Duncan's second weight cut. I don't know what he did, you know, after the first one, but that's something to look at. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but
last thing I'll say is, you know, you're highlighting Slava getting rocked in some of his wins. I'll just say, like, that William Starks fight, you know, it was a split. I thought he was doing very well in that fight. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he got blown out. Or
I don't know how he lost the third round, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was pretty confused about it, but
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you guys. I don't. If I had to choose a side, I probably choose him, just based off the striking. But we'll move on. Third fight of the night. Jake Hadley going up against Mitch Raposo. I don't currently have a bet on this fight. I was thinking of actually betting Raposo, to be honest. I think this line is getting a little too crazy. It's back down now. I see it at 280, 300, but I think it touched like 320 at points. And I was thinking of jumping on Raposo, but the problem I have is Raposo such low volume. You know, Hadley, still 25 years old. I know he's undefeated. He's the Cage Warrior champion. Very good cardio. Been 5 rounds a couple of times. Heavy grappling. Not much of a striker. I know he's got a couple knockouts, but guy likes to grapple. He's a grappler. He's got a good ground game. Again, you know, this guy, when he's on the ground, he throws pretty heavy ground and pound. He's fought good competition regionally at Cage Warriors. But one thing I can add is he did miss weight today. He missed weight. He's 127, so he missed weight by 1 pound, but he went back to kind of trying to cut more weight. He couldn't do it. Again, something I look at weigh-ins, it's me. He didn't look good at weigh-ins. You know, just his reactions, the way he looked, he wasn't too happy. You know, I know it was a rough weight cut. It seemed like it. On the other side with Raposo, the one thing I do like is he's moving down, which is probably a good thing for him. Guy has a wrestling background. But again, like I said, very low volume. He's fought a low level of competition. The one thing I will say in this fight is the takedowns are not going to come easy for Hadley. I know he's going to try them. They're not going to come easy with Raposo. He fights him. He tries to get up. The guy's not going to just sit down there. You saw that in his Ultimate Fighter fight with the Russian. He just didn't accept those takedowns. He was trying to scramble, get up. So he has that good. He's got good footwork when he's standing. He switches stances nice. He's got really good footwork. But again, his volume. There's no fucking volume from this guy, and it's kind of like, do I want to play this guy? How is he going to win this fight? That's the other thing in my mind. Like, how is he actually going to win this fight? Is he going to grapple and take Hadley down and kind of smother him and win minutes like that? Maybe. But on the feet, the guy just doesn't throw enough for me. So I don't know. I might need a bigger number. I might actually stab if it gets wider, and maybe these people start parlaying Hadley like crazy. But for now, I'm on the sidelines with this fight. What do you got, Z?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. I'm a little bit tempted on Mitch, but I think Hadley's pretty serious, from what I've seen. He's got a good, well-rounded skill set, championship level in other organizations. And at the end of the day, I like what you said about, like, just how is Mitch going to win? Because he gives ground so easily. He does move well. Like, he moves well. He's okay. He's got that wrestling background, albeit not extremely high level. But, yeah, I think this might be a case of value chasing. And, you might have value. He might make the fight somewhat competitive, but still end up losing. But the fact that Hadley did miss weight, yeah, it's a concern for sure, especially by that margin, right? Like, if he misses by a lot, it's not so bad, but the way he looked and how much he missed by, it's concerning. So if anything, I would just say, like, smaller bet on plus 233 or better. But yeah, as far as right now, I'm staying away just because I really didn't like how much Mitch gives ground. He's just not willing to enter the fire, and this is a championship level opposition here. So no bet from me as of right now.
And that's the thing, like with Hadley, he's gonna come forward.
Yeah.
He does that in most of his fights. So, like, Mitch just lets you. He gives that ground to you, right? He gave it a lot in that Sean Allen fight, and that's one thing. The volume is another. So it worries me. But let's see if John can, like, give us some little things that we didn't see. Maybe he convinces me.
Nah, I mean, I really want to get there with Raposo, if I'm being honest, but like I don't think they're that far apart in terms of skills, except Hadley is a doer of things and Raposo is a doer of nothing. Like that's really the big problem for me here. And like Z touched on it, it's funny because I think if Raposo had a bit more ability to get offense off his back foot, he'd be able to be pretty good here, because I don't really like the way Hadley cuts the cage when he's trying to pressure guys, and I think someone is going to expose that pretty badly. But Raposo does just seem to get kind of overwhelmed when guys get in his face, and I don't really like that. If you told me Raposo was going to come out and just look to grapple for 15, I'd actually feel okay about betting him, to be honest. Like, I'm not saying he's necessarily a better fighter than Hadley, but there were some moments in that Driscoll fight and even against Luke Shanks that really concerned me with Hadley's grappling. And, we saw Raposo lose to Ludovic Shalinian on the Ultimate Fighter, but Shalinian's a really good wrestler. And, we saw Raposo, work up a few times, take his back. He's got the ability to hit takedowns here. He's got the ability to win some scrambles, maybe get a back take. The problem is, if he doesn't do those things and end up with a bunch of back top time or a back take, I just can't see him winning minutes. Like unless he fundamentally changes the style he's fought his entire career to date with, in which case, yeah, he could be live here. If it gets to plus 300, I'll probably take the stab. I think it's up to plus 240 in places now. At that point, at 25% implied, I feel like I'm probably almost certainly getting value at that point. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. It's just, we have a decent sample of Raposo doing nothing against poor competition. What happens when he takes a step up here,
Yeah, I mean, we all see the same with Raposo. It's that volume, that no volume, I should say.
To your point, John, if I can just jump in, and because you said he might change his style, he is only 22. Like, he is still a young fighter. So we might be seeing improvements. And, like we've all kind of alluded to, he does do things well. He moves well. I like his feints and everything. Like, so there's a chance he develops into a good fighter. But yeah, it's just tough to trust him here with a step up in competition.
Yeah, he's
And
a good wrestler too, man. And it's like you touched on the fact that he's 22. It's something I noticed when I was looking at this, and I don't totally understand why they forced him into the Ultimate Fighter house with 5 wins at 22, and now immediately it's like they're trying to force him into the UFC, and the kid clearly needs some more seasoning, you know.
and to say, one thing, I mean, he was the number one pick. They thought highly of him. So it's not like they didn't think anything of him. They thought highly of him. They saw something in him, but maybe he learned something from that Ultimate Fighter fight. Maybe we don't know, obviously, and we're guessing. But like you said, if we're getting plus 300, I'm gonna take a stab, because I'm not very high on Hadley, and the fact that he missed weight and they gave him an hour, he went to cut more weight and he couldn't, and he looked like absolute shit. So that's something that's in my mind. And if Raposo pushes this pace, he might fucking get this guy tired.
If Raposo pushes this pace,
that's
the
question. But I'm willing to take a stab at plus 300.
I'm with you.
Let me go over to chat a little and see what they're saying here. Hadley for the win. Anybody know what method? I would guess it's going to be by decision, honestly. I don't think he's going to stop Raposo. What's up, boys? What's up? What's up? Uncle Wheezy, what's up, brother? Uncle Wheezy in the house. Smash that like button, please. Please do. I'm your fan. Thank you very much, Hania. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Buck Hoots, let's go. Z and Cops. Well, how about MMA Fox, too?
Yeah, no love for John.
Hi, hit the like button, people. I locked the like button in porta potty and tipped it over. Oh, boy. All right, boys.
Getting loose in the Narco Cop chat.
Uh-oh. It's getting crazy in here. Fight number 4. This is going to be a great fight, guys. Strap down with this one. Fight number 4, Lorenzo Hood against Martin Boudet. Go ahead, Z. This is your favorite fight.
It's a lopsided, low-level heavyweight fight. They don't go 5 minutes. So I think we're all on the under 1.5. Somebody over at BetOnline opened it at minus 115. I didn't see it, or else it would have been a stupid amount of money on the line. But as it stands, I got 250 on this under 1.5 at minus 185. I just think it's, much more likely to be, a minus 400 outcome. I think it hits 80%. Like I said, it's low level, it's lopsided, and it's heavyweights. And Lorenzo Hood has no takedown defense, no get up game, no ground game. So if Boudet, if he wants to, he can just go through him like butter on the ground. But I wouldn't put it past him to knock out Hood either. I mean, Hood's like a dude who back in the day was like a half decent middleweight boxer, right? Like that's kind of who his archetype. So now that he's up here fucking around at heavyweight after beating 3 guys with very bad records, it just doesn't seem. It seems, you know what it reminds me of, and I don't want to hit any nerves with old Johnny Boy over there, but it reminds me of when me and Triple J saw that Everett Cummins was fighting in Bellator, and there was something fishy, There's something fishy. I don't know. I don't really rate Hood very high at all. He's got the Walmart version of Conor McGregor's tattoo, his chest tattoo, but he put it on his stomach. Like, what? Come on, man. But yeah, I think Boudet just goes through this guy like butter. So give me the under 1.5. It's lopsided, low level heavyweight fight. Could be, heart attack inducing, but hey, we all got to go sometime.
All right, John.
Heart attack inducing for one of the fighters, right? Yeah, I mean, I like the under as well, even though it is pretty chalked up. I'll be honest, I think the funniest possible outcome here would be Lorenzo Hood just KOing him in the first exchange and getting a UFC contract. That would be...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, could you imagine this guy in the UFC? That would be wild. I think I looked in his...
He can get that rematch with Blades.
Yes,
oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'm pretty sure his last 3 wins have a combined 21 straight defeats between the 3 of them.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It's fishy, man. Like, why are you fighting these guys?
It's very bizarre. And I saw his fight with, what is the guy's name? Someone who was 3-3, and it was one of the most embarrassing defensive grappling performances I've ever seen in my life. I just kind of think,
Shelton
yeah. So I was at minus 300. I'm pretty firmly against laying big chalk with heavyweights unless their name is Curtis Blades, although that's cost me a lot of money as well in the past. So, but at minus 300, I'd actually would think about pulling the trigger on Bidet. I think this is not a close fight at all. If Hood doesn't kill him immediately, I think it's Bidet pretty much however he wants, whether that's, I think he's a better in the clinch. He's a better boxer. If he wants, he can put him on the mat and just finish him there. Unless Bidet just decides not to go forward for the first time in his career, I don't really see how this goes, 7.5 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything Z said. I think Bidet should handle him pretty much however he wants to.
I was very tempted to put a stupid bet just on him straight because it's just one of those cases where I'm like, yo, this is such a clear smash spot. It's heavyweight hero time, but.
And he's clearly the guy they want to win, right? He's the one they're bringing in Lorenzo Hood for him. This is
and it's short notice too. Like Hood was supposed to fight somebody a few weeks back, and then someone who Bidet was. Oh yeah, that Brazilian guy who, at least when I skimmed the record, didn't look half bad, But yeah, this is not going to go well for Mr. Hood.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, so I'm right there with you guys. I got the under 1.5 at minus 185. I have no idea how this is going to go 7.5 minutes. I highly doubt this is going to go 7.5 minutes. But I'll give you a little breakdown on Bidet. The guy's a 2-time IBJJF European world champion. So the guy knows what the hell he's doing on the ground. He's a brown belt. He went to decision with Juan Espino, who's now in the UFC. I have no idea how that fight went, but we do know that he's fought Juan Espino. I mean, because the rest of the guys are really low-level guys that he's faced. But, when you watch his tape, he's good on the ground. His striking to me is not very good. But again, the ground game is really good. He throws punches to actually try to get into the clinch so he can take you down because that's where he's good. That's where he's most comfortable. And, on the Hood side, just so you guys know, Hood is a local guy from Chicago. He trains out of this Chicago fight team. I've never even heard of them, to be honest. This dude, I used to go to a lot of boxing fights and watch. And at Horseshoe Hammond, I watched this guy live against some guy that I think the guy was 1-16 or something. And dude, he sweated out a win against this guy. He's not a good boxer. He looks like he can, knock your head off, which I think he can. Possibly he's got power. He's just such a big dude. But man, the guy lacks everything. Lacks, takedown defense. Lacks everything you can name on the ground. He has no idea what he's doing on the ground. So if this fight gets on the ground, this guy is done. I mean, he's fought a total combined record of 17-68. I mean, these guys that he's fighting are absolute atrocious. And, for the guys that he's fighting that are halfway decent, they're killing him. So, Bidet is probably better than decent. I think Bidet is just going to be able to take this dude down. And, and another thing I should add is his cardio is terrible, man. His cardio is awful, guys. It's awful. He can't go 7.5 minutes.
He kind of gives up too if things don't go his way.
What is it? Oh yeah, and that's another thing. He's the type of guy that, again, I don't like to say this about fighters, but it seems like he gives up. So if this gets to the ground, I think he's either going to give up or he's going to get, tapped out. So yeah, under 1.5. I honestly still think it's juiced at minus 210. If you want to put it in a parlay, I think this is going to hit pretty easily.
The inside the distance is playable too. I mean, it's even worse than the under, but if you just want to, because if it goes over 7.5, it's going to be Bidet smashing him. There's no way he survives, right? So that's another way you could target that. And also, I'm seeing I don't know if some books have or not, or if it's just best fight odds glitching. But when they open the round props, Bidet in round 1, if it's, anywhere close to even, should get played.
Spot on. And I'm going to look at the submission prop too. If it's anywhere near plus
Americana,
money, I'm going to take it. But let's go over to chat again before we go to our last fight. Look at who it is. It's Liam. Cheers, boys. Rooting for you guys on this card. Cheers, Liam. John, great panel. These guys are legit. Of course, these guys are legit.
John, you can't comment in this.
Yeah, John, what are you doing? Wheezy and Liam. Yes, Z, preach. Look at that. His boy is backing him up.
Triple J knows what's up.
Everett Cummings, leader of the free world. Oh, boy.
I really thought I had a sneaky plus 600 with Everett Cummings or whatever it was. That was not so sneaky.
Well, that was one thing about because me and Triple J were all over that one, but like Bellator was giving us round props, so I got actually like 200 on whoever he fought in KO round 1. Like that's what I'm hoping to get here. Like if we can get a submission round 1, you know, like it's gonna.
You know what? Asphalt's making a good like how the fuck did they give Hood another chance after last night? Like I didn't think this guy. I don't even know how they found this guy to begin with. Like, you know, I have no idea how they choose some of these guys, honestly. And this is one of them. Like, this guy does not deserve a shot in the UFC, you know, because he's looked big and strong and all his wins are by knockout, but against who, right?
I think it's just a matter of trying to get somebody for the spot so they have 5 fights, to be honest. I mean, we've seen this throughout the COVID era, right? A lot of guys getting opportunities to make the UFC that probably would not have been there otherwise.
Well, I'm not shitting on it, John. If you have the under in a parlay, I'm not going to shit on that because John, look at that. Ozzy's in the house.
Ozzy's a sharp guy.
Ozzy is a sharp guy.
Give me a main event winner. Yeah, give him a main event winner, John.
I think I got one.
Oh, we're going back to that shit. Rodriguez, inside distance, sharper striking pro debut, and Bellator 5 pro wins by finish. All right. Let's go on to the main event. Since Ozzy wants to hear about the main event, the main event is Junior Cortez going up against Christian Rodriguez. Come on, John. Give us some knowledge.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty interesting fight, to be honest. As far as about as interesting as you can get for contenders. And I say that in part because there's very, very limited footage on both of these guys. And the footage that is there, it's tough to draw too many conclusions from. You know, on the Rodriguez side, he seems to be reasonably technical, I'd say, but also, you know, again, it's one of those things where I think he might be a little defensively suspect, but it's hard for me to really tell with the competition he's fought. But, you know, he seems like a decent boxer and he does put a good pace out there, which, you know, you like to see. On the Cortez side, he's kind of hard. I don't really know what to make of him because the one professional fight I could find was his fight with, what's his name? Let me pull it up. Chuck Mady, and he decided to strike for most of that fight. And he looked, you know, okay. You know, he was aggressive and fast, but very, very hittable, a little too willing to brawl. But part of me thinks that's just because he knew he could handle that fight. Because from my understanding is he comes from a wrestling background. And if you actually watch his Emmy fights, you know, he wrestles there aggressively. It's not the prettiest wrestling, but those fights are from a couple years ago. And so I'm not really sure what to take of it. And so I guess my broad strokes thoughts are like looking at the fight, I would probably slightly favor Rodriguez in the striking. And I think you have to give grappling upside to Cortez. In terms of like other intangibles, it's like Cortez is training out of the lab. You know, he's at a really good camp. He's 20.
He's at fight ready now.
Is he at fight ready now?
Yeah.
So, but he's been, he's a guy you'd expect to be making improvements. He's 29 years old. You know, he's kind of hitting his physical peak here. Obviously comes from a wrestling family, you know, Tracy Cortez's family. And then on the other side, you have Christian Rodriguez, who really, he's 22, or I believe, 23. Mm-hmm. He's not really, he's at a Rufus sport, which, okay. You know, I don't know his last time Rufus Sport, you know, produced, you know, a really high level prospect, which I'm not saying doesn't make him that, but I do kind of trust, you know, Cortez to make more improvements. And like I said, he's 23. So like, I expect Rodriguez to be making improvements. And if you told me you wanted to line this even money because of what you saw, like I'd say that's fair. If you even wanted to tell me maybe slightly favor Rodriguez, okay. But I think minus 200 is a bit crazy, especially with the lack of data and everything else we know about the two fighters. So again, I think it's kind of a decent steer into variance type of spot where you can just play the dog. You know, they have that Cortez has the grappling upside here. He could keep it close in the feet. I feel like there's so little data on their stand-up that's hard to get a proper read there. So yeah, I like Cortez in the spot.
All right. So for me right now, I have no side. I didn't pick a side, but what I will say is, yeah, Cortez used to trade on our MMA lab. Last 2 years, or a year and a half has been at fight ready. So I think that's a step up in camps. But again, like John said, you know, there's a lack of tape on this guy. You know, the one fight that we do see, you know, the one thing I did see in that specific fight is that at like the mid second round, he kind of looked like he was gasping a little heavy, kind of looked like he was tiring a little. So, you know, cardio's a question mark for me. I don't know. I haven't seen his other fights, like I said, but the guy's aggressive. He moves forward. He's got decent striking. And then on the Rodriguez side, like, I actually like his striking. I think he's a good striker. He likes the step in knee all the time. And most of the tape I see, always he's using that step in knee. The one thing I do like a lot about his striking is the fact that he works up and down. He works, the body, the head, the legs. I mean, he's throwing in combinations, which I really like. He has very good cardio, man. I'll tell you, he puts on a real heavy pace, constantly coming forward, very good cardio. He's got like good trip takedowns when you see him, and he's actually not bad on the ground when you watch him. But again, there's a lack of kind of tape of him being on his back. So him being on top, he looks good, but him being on his back, we don't know. And like John mentioned, like, I don't know how he is on his back. So I think the striking, I kind of favor him in the striking department, but the grappling edge here kind of worries me. I don't know how he is off his back. But the guy trains with Emmanuel Sanchez. He trains with some good fighters over there at Rufus. It's not obviously the best camp, but the other issue I have with him is the fact that he missed weight too. He's a guy that missed by 1.25 pounds, a pound and a quarter. He gave him an hour. He came back. He only shed that quarter of a pound. So that's another thing. The guy had, his facial expressions really bad, man. Really bad at face-offs. Really bad at weigh-ins. I didn't like it. I actually favor Rodriguez in this fight, but not at these odds. And, if I was to take anything right now, it would be possibly the fight goes to decision, just because both guys seem to be durable. But again, lack of tape on Cortez, I really don't know. It's a question mark. So I'm staying away on this fight as of now. What do you got, Z?
We're all in the same boat again, man. I'm definitely tempted on Reyes Cortez. He moves well, like you guys said, wrestling background. And again, it's just something where I'm like, I don't really know what warrants Rodriguez being such a big favorite. Like, it's really just as simple as that. I like what John said about if you wanted to line this pick 'em, that's reasonable. And I agree. So we're seeing plus 170, we're seeing north of plus 150. It's just kind of like, well, I want to flip the coin here because like Rodriguez has good pace and cardio, but he doesn't really move that well. So his striking defense might be okay, but I prefer guys to be mobile, and Reyes Cortez is that. So yeah, and again, it's like I saw that fight too where his coaches were asking him to wrestle, and he was just happy to bomb on the guy, and it made sense because he was there to get hit. So fair play to him. But if he's going to be mixing it up, I could see him. I could see him beating Christian Rodriguez, and I like the camp angle. I like the weight miss. So I think I might actually put a bet on Mr. Cortez right now before all those in the chat sneak in and get the line.
There's asphalt right there.
And that's the other thing, right? Like if you don't want to lay a minus 200 with a Christian Rodriguez and then have him get top control for 12 minutes. Like that's like a nightmare because it's like I had no idea about his background grappling, and I knew the other guy could wrestle, and I laid minus 200 anyway, and
right.
He gets wet blanketed for 12 minutes.
But even on the feet, it's not I don't really think Rodriguez, like, again, he's got the pace, he's got combinations, and he's nice and composed, but he doesn't really seem too powerful, to be honest. I don't want him punching me in the face, but like as far as MMA fighters go, right? Like he doesn't have that explosive pop. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, young fighter developing.
Are you talking about Rodriguez?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he throws with a lot of pop. But it's just the volume, man. The up and down, the volume. Right. He puts his punches in combinations. He doesn't throw one strikes at a time, which I like. His striking is good. I think his striking is good. But again, the lack on the ground and being on.
He doesn't move though. What? You know what I mean? He doesn't move.
I mean, he's constantly coming forward. No, he doesn't move like.
I mean, they may just brawl if that turns into a stand-up fight. To be honest,
that's a 170 bet though, right? If you're
honestly, I think it's bad for Cortez if he just stands there brawling with this guy.
But like, could you? It's hard for me to imagine Rodriguez looking much better than 65%. Whereas I can imagine a scenario where Cortez looks like a big favorite if it turns out he could just grapple him however he wants, right?
Yeah.
So. We don't know
a close fight seems like even. Sorry to cut you off, John.
No.
Like even if Rodriguez wins, like I don't know. I feel like this is going to be competitive for sure. Cortez isn't going to lie down. He's going to give us a fight
for sure.
I don't think he's lying down here at all. And he looked like the fresher, better fighter at weigh-ins. I'll be honest. That's just what I saw. What does Ozzy got to say? Kind of surprised the line hasn't started coming in. Maybe Paul Felder endorsement is too strong. All applications pass through Ortega. All right.
I bet it. Nugget. I bet it.
I think that about wraps it up for the card. Pretty good card overall, not bad. There's some good fighters on this card compared to some of these other Contender Series fights. But kick it off to Z if you want to tell anybody anything and tell them where they can find you after your 2-minute retirement. But go ahead, Z. The floor is yours.
I bet on fights. I talk about them on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. Don't take what I say seriously on Twitter unless it's a tracked bet. Yeah, us versus the bookies. Good talking to you guys. Narco, John, much respect to both. Yeah, it's all good.
Love having you, Z. Love having you. We'll move it over to John. Go ahead, John. The floor is
Narco, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast talking with both of you. I have a podcast, the Club and Sub Podcast, every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Club and Sub Podcast YouTube channel. Check it out. It's a fun podcast. Follow me on Twitter at MMA Fox. I talk fights all the time. Sometimes I'm right. Often I'm wrong. I feel good about this card, though, so we'll see how it goes.
I really want props for this hood.
They had DraftKings had props last week for it, so hopefully they get them up this week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For the last week. Yeah. Hopefully they put them up. They put them up, I believe, in the morning last week. So hopefully they do the same. It would be awesome.
Set your alarm.
But yeah, man. Thanks to both of you. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I know I took some time out of your busy schedules, but it was worth it. You guys are great. You guys gave this chat a lot of knowledge about these fights and some picks. Yeah, that's about it, man. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Please give these guys both a follow on Twitter, on their sites, on this. Make sure you go watch that Club and Sub podcast. It's a great one. Z didn't even shout out his Fair Play podcast. Come on, Z.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Z, I'm going to be on a flight Saturday morning. I'm going to need something to listen to, so you better have it up this week.
See?
Right. I'll get it up just for you, John.
There you go. I like it. All right, guys. Thank you very much again. I appreciate you guys' time. It was great chatting it up with you guys.
Thanks, Narco. Thanks, Z.
And I just want to say one last thing to the guys in chat. Thank you very much to everybody in chat. Without you guys, we couldn't be doing this. I appreciate everyone. Please hit the like and subscribe. It helps out. Thank you very much. Let's go cash some bets tomorrow. Peace.
Let's go. Later, guys.